And we are live. What's going on? Welcome back, everybody, to another installment of the Teacher Project 2.0. We hope everybody is doing well. We wanted to come to you guys and just bring you sort of an update on all that we have going on. Last week, El Teddy went state by state and read off what every state. He broke down some counties,
I
honey.
am
Broke down
I am still paying for it with my voice. Let the record show. Oh shit, I'm sorry about that. I'm still paying for it with my voice. Let the record reflect.
Yes. So we are going to just sort of give some updates, and there were a few questions that came to us that we wanted to sort of address, and then kind of just have an open discussion. Hope the notifications go out and some people end up joining us. Hey,
Dez
Des.
is here. I don't know why he'll never want to come on with us. You know what, Dez? Ugh.
Des, I ain't even gonna, I'm
Right.
just link in the chat. Hey, Mama Six, I'm just gonna drop the link in the chat, Des. I'm just gonna drop the link.
You know what, Dez? You need to bring. You know what? You need to stop being lazy. You know. They said that about these new school educators, the young educators. They said that. I didn't want to believe them, but that's what they told me. Like new school educators, new school.
What? So Des lives in the state of South Carolina. I hope I'm not doxing you. I ain't say where. I just said the state. He said that his governor has decided. No, they've decided on a hybrid model. But the governor is pushing for a 5 days of full instruction. These people are crazy. Hey, Kim Jacobs, how are you? These people are crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I'm gonna start with you, Elta. Do you want to say hi to everyone? Have anything you want to share? Any information you want to give?
Um. Hello. Hey everybody. I just want to say hi. I am in the process as we speak of looking at the most updated information, seeing what changed and what didn't change. Because you all know when I was going through this stuff from last week, um, that I mean, this stuff. I think it was a week and a half ago now, maybe. Last week was a big week for a lot of districts with regard to what they were going to do um, in terms of schools and openings and coming to some conclusive decisions. So I'm trying to see if there's any updates that I can give you that were different from what I told you last time. But yeah, hey, has Des come on yet? Because unless you tell me Des came on,
Dan said he doesn't have the best service in his new place.
uh,
So
Des, I'm in the middle of
he
what
can
looks to
join
be
us right now.
torrential downpour. If you hear thunder, that's what that. If you hear, a boom, that's what it is. That I've been getting that from.
Oh my goodness! But meanwhile, the governor just gave $32 million of CARES money to the private schools in the state. You know what? Mm, that's another podcast for another day, child.
So, do you want me to go down? I do have in front of me some very recent decisions. It's just five of them that I'm showing are some of the most recent actions. If you want me to go through them real fast, and with what's left of our voices.
Kim Jacobs, we would definitely be open to that. You can email us and let us know all the details. We're definitely open to that. That's what we're here for. So absolutely, email us and let's see if we can make it work. Thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah,
Um,
and Kim Jacobs, let me say, ever since I believe your cousin Abby helped put me on to your channel, I actually go on and I watch, and I'll tell you, just get off topic real fast. Some of the interviews that Kim Jacob does, and some of the people that you get are so empowering and so insightful and things like that. So I just want to say thank you for what it is that you do on your channel. And I'm certainly looking forward to being able to talk to you
Absolutely. Absolutely.
about it. While Really B is looking up our email address to put in the chat, let me get these
It's
updates
already
out here.
it's scrolling. It's scrolling. I can type it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. The email is scrolling across the bottom. Yeah, I didn't see that because I probably should have saw that. But
All gravy.
all right, here are 5 updates. On July 17th, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced that counties on the state's coronavirus watch list would begin the school year with online education only. As of July 20th, 33 of the state's 58 counties were on the watch list, which is based on new infections per capita, test positivity rate and rates and hospitalization rates. So if you're in California, check to see if your county falls within that. So that's more than half of the counties in California, which have been told by the governor that they have to be on online education only. For July 17th, also on July 17th, we got a couple. The first three are from July 17th. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds said she had ordered that students spend at least half of their schooling in person. She said that districts could seek waivers for in-person instruction for the school year. Des Moines, the state district, had previously announced 1 day of in-person instruction for the school for students each week. I think Iowa was the state that had mandated in-person 5 day a week schools, and I see that I think that
And
was the
wasn't it
state
the
that
one
did.
with masks weren't mandatory? Was that the same one?
I think that is because remember it was an I, and I think it was Iowa.
Yeah,
But anyway, if it was Iowa, they're backpedaling off of that.
yeah, I bet they are.
Um, on July 17th, the Texas Education Agency extended the local time school districts can keep schools closed and teach students remotely without losing funds. According to the new rules, districts can teach students remotely for up to 8 weeks from the start of the school year. So as long as the school board votes on the matter, as long as the school board votes on the matter after 4 weeks. On July 20th, the Utah, I know y'all hear a lot of thunder behind me. I told y'all I'm in the middle of a whole thunderstorm. Hold on 1 second. On July 20th, the Utah Department of Health issued an order mandating the use of face coverings in all public and private K through 12 schools. The order includes exemptions related to eating and drinking and medical conditions. Um, that was Utah. And finally, the Colorado, this is on July 20th, the Colorado Department of Education released guidance for reopening for the 20 of schools for the 2020-2021 school year. The guidelines contain separate criteria for elementary schools and secondary schools. Decisions based upon school start dates and remote learning would be left to local districts. So that is an update that I got. Really being, I don't know that I have mod privileges, but if you go to that email that I sent you with the links, the one that starts with Ballotopia is the one that I'm reading for, and that's the one that updates frequently, state by state, what the new updates are. If
Okay.
you want to, you can go to that website and it will give you all of the information for every state. What was the date of our last
It was our last show last Monday, I believe it was.
which was the 13th?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, the 13th, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just seeing if there's anything after I see on July 15th in Delaware, Governor John Carney released guidance for reopening of schools for the 2020-21 school year. And he said that districts will use the guidance created that guidance to create reopening of school plans for in-person, hybrid, and distance learning, but that would be up to each individual school districts. I'm just trying to see if any states updated after the 13th. On July 14th, the Georgia Department of Education released the reopening guidance for schools for the 2021 school year. But schools in Georgia were, but it's up to each individual school district. I'm just perusing through, seeing if there's anybody.
For this general area, I can give you the updates.
Okay. In Kansas, the Kansas Board of Education voted 9-0 to approve guidance for reopening of schools for the 2021 school year. Board members said that the guidelines were not mandates, but were meant to help districts craft their own individual plans. So as you can see, and I'm just going through, the prevailing thing is State Board of Educations are trying to, CYA. So they're leaving it up to each individual school district. In the great state of Louisiana, the Louisiana State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education voted unanimously to approve reopening guidelines proposed by Superintendent Kade Bromley. The guidelines include a requirement for all adults and students in grades 3 through 12 to wear face coverings. I'm perusing real fast. Did we say Michigan? No, Michigan is not updated. In Missouri, the Missouri Department of Education released guidance for reopening of schools. Recommendations include screening students and faculties for symptoms, limiting students and faculty to the same group of people every day, cohorting, and requesting students and faculty wear masks. Now, that's interesting, where even in the secondary level, it would be almost like elementary level, where it would be the same group of students around the same teachers all, every day. So that's an interesting plan. I'm perusing. In New Hampshire, Governor Chris Sununu released guidance for reopening of schools for the 2021 school year. Sununu said that the plan was meant to give school districts local control over how they reopen. Education Commissioner Frank Edelblu, said that he expected students back in school in September. In New York, the state on July 13th, the State Board of Education released a framework for reopening of schools. Each school district will be required to submit a district-specific reopening based on a template between July 17th and July 31st. Formal guidance for reopening is expected later in the month. In North Carolina, the North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper released the state school reopening plan, which emphasizes a combination of in-person instruction and distance learning. Let me continue to go down. I read Texas, Utah. Did we say? Yeah, we talked about Utah. And I think that is all that I do have. Some information, but I'll let Really Be go, because I do have other news and information that came out. But I'll let Really Be go.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, I know in our area, the county that I teach in, we're not going back in the building until at the earliest February 1st. We're going to be doing the whole first semester virtual. I know that the county next to me they literally just announced it today, the same thing. DC Public Schools had originally announced that they were going to do a hybrid where the kids would go on Monday and Tuesday, and then the rest of the week they would be out. But they've gotten so much pushback on that announcement, because they've just made like a preliminary announcement, and then they said we'll give the details at the end of the week. They didn't get to the end of the week. They made another announcement saying that they were pushing that press conference back to July 31st, where they would make a final announcement, because they've gotten a lot of pushback about that. So I don't know what they're going to end up changing it to, but I know that was the original plan. Charlotte Mecklenburg County, they're going to do the first 2 weeks of school will be in class with like half day, like half kids come in, half a day, whatever, and then the rest of the semester will be virtual. Which, as a teacher, I'm not mad about that. I don't know if I need 2 full weeks, but I would like to have a day to meet my kids face to face, be able to give them their syllabus in person, go over certain things, get whatever information I need to get from them, so I can set up my Google Classrooms and all of that. Because El Teddy, like I know, the beginning of the school year, you get this long list of names, and they're always kids that never show up. They're always kids that their name is on the list, but they end up transferring to another school or whatever the situation is. And so I would not mind a situation like that where you could go for a half a day, meet with half your kids, and then the other half of the day meet with the other half of the kids, and then that's it. But I mean, it is what it is. So I think that's the idea that what Charlotte is going with. And I read somewhere that the teachers union in Florida is actually suing.
They are.
Yeah. And I anticipate some of these other states that are insisting that schools open. I anticipate some other lawsuits coming as well. To be honest, I really see the NEA lodging like just across the board, just a lawsuit across the board. Hi, Star Bell, how you doing? Nearly every
Hello, everyone. As you come in.
organization here has spoken out against the governor, including the state secretary of education. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, it gets worse. Wait till we show y'all what we got ready for y'all.
oh yeah, we got it gets worse.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I was saying to El Teddy, I reposted it on my Instagram. Trevor Noah from the Daily Show, he did a whole thing on schools reopening, and one of the things he said that I thought was really, I think people forget that teachers have families, and that teachers are just as scared as everybody else. We understand kids need education. I want to go back to work. I absolutely want to go back to work. I've told you guys that before. El Teddy can attest to it. I have called him. I mean, I think one day I was in tears. I want to go back to work. I feel like I am not. My kids are losing, and I know how important it is. But at the end of the day, we are dealing with a worldwide pandemic, and whether the president wants to take it seriously or not, it is what it is. And so our first priority has to be to the safety of everybody, and I think people forget that teachers have families. And the one question that I think they neglected to ask, they asked parents about whether they were going to send their kids. I don't remember getting a survey asking me whether I was going to come to work. I don't remember getting that survey.
Well, the thing about it is the disrespectful part is that in the world of education, and we've learned this over the course of our careers,
Mm-hmm.
there are always education is one of the few professions and industries where people making major decisions have never worked in the field, know nothing about the field, are not certified in the field, and can't tell you a thing about what goes on inside of the field,
Mm-hmm.
which is dangerous. It would be like people that are not doctors or healthcare officials making swooping decisions and things for healthcare, which is what we have going on now with COVID-19 and the president of these yet to be United States.
Mm-hmm.
I had to let me get off that soapbox. I'm sorry. Oh dear God.
And again, one day we'll have a story time, and I'll tell my education story. But part of my education story includes Michelle Rhee. And if y'all don't know who Michelle Rhee is, Michelle Rhee was like the golden child of the Republican and Democratic Party. I don't want the Democrats to distance themselves from her. Both parties thought she was the best thing since sliced bread, and she came in with this whole idea about teacher reform and this and this, and basically it boiled down to her idea is that the reason why education is failing is the teacher's fault. And if we just get rid of all of these old, outdated teachers, and if you went to an Ivy League school, whether you went for education or not, you are qualified to teach kids, which, by the way, has become an epic fail. But, that's another story. But again, this is a woman who literally taught school for 2 years. Literally taught school for 2 years. Didn't go to school for education. Went through, one of those programs, and became the state superintendent of DC Public Schools and like a national spokesperson on all things education. And we look at Betsy DeVos. Her whole goal before becoming Department of Secretary of Education was to privatize public education. Her whole goal was to make everything a charter school. So, again, I have to say, like El Teddy said, we have to really pay a lot of attention to what it is that we're doing with with our education system, and who we're listening to. Because, like you said, I would never go into a doctor's office and the person has a degree on the wall from, he's an engineer. I don't care if you went to the best engineering school in the country. You didn't go to be a doctor. So
Um, the funny part about it is, you all might have gotten these surveys, but how much weight are those survey results going to have in a lot of these decision makers? We know in the grand scheme of decision making with education, so many times the focal point is not what the faculty and staff, what their expertise is, or what their not even opinions are, but what their collected data may be. It's just not seen as significant sometimes, and that becomes very dangerous, very
yeah,
dangerous.
very, very dangerous. So in our travels, and we have to thank Abby Reviews for this story. Um, the governor of what is it, El Teddy? I don't have it in front of me.
Mississippi. Hold on.
I want to say it right because I want to.
It's either Alabama or Mississippi.
Credit.
Hold on.
We want to give him credit. All the credit belongs to him. Missouri, St. Louis. Now this is the same. Before I even say that, this is the same governor. If you guys may remember the visual we had of the protesters who were had like semi-automatic guns pointed at the protesters, like the white people on the side, and they were pointing the guns at the protesters, and they finally just got charged with a hate crime, and this is the same governor who said he will pardon them. So before I even read through this article, let me just let you know that. Mike Parsons. Missouri Governor Mike Parsons is making national headlines after his comments on a radio show about the reopening of schools. Okay, this is the quote. So this is a quote. These kids have got to get back to school. They're at the lowest risk possible. And if they do get COVID-19, which they will, and they will when they go to school, they're not going to go to the hospital. They're not going to have to sit in a doctor's office. They're going to go home and they're going to get over it. End quote.
And they're going to get over it because you know that with security.
Right. Hey, Rochelle. Hey, Shawana. Not only are they going to get over it, but they don't have to go to the hospital. They don't have to go to the doctor's office. They're just going to wake up one day and be fine.
But even if that were completely true,
which it isn't,
do they live in a bubble? They don't have parents.
Right.
They don't have relatives that may live in the house with them that could, be exposed to the virus that may not be, affecting them, but could very well affect. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. I know, after because of testing and so forth, I do not carry the form of herpes that causes fever blisters and things like that. I just don't. I cannot get them because I do not have that form of herpes. I wasn't born with that form of herpes. Or you have some people who are not born with the form of herpes that can allow them to get chicken pox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, just because that person gets exposed to it and brings it in, and it may not affect them, it may very well affect somebody else in the same household with them. So even though they're not going to be affected, they could very well affect other people in the household with them, and thus we have more people contracting the virus and perhaps dying. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, let's consider who's to say that their parents or relatives are not essential workers, still going to work, interacting with other people. Hello. Dear God. But these are the people making decisions. Oh dear God. Oh dear God.
Shawana said, "Didn't a child get it and both of his parents died?" That may very well have happened. That may very well have happened. You know, and that's the thing. Once again, teachers have families as well. Teachers have kids. Teachers have husbands. Teachers have wives. Teachers have, you know what I mean? Like, you guys, like, first of all, like El Teddy just said, even if that were true, which that's got to be the most ignorant statement, like one of the most ignorant things I've ever heard. But even if it were a true statement, again, yeah, the kid might not die, but what about the adults around the child? Like,
You
oh my
got
God,
cafeteria staff, custodial. I ain't even gonna say the teachers because everybody knows the teachers, but you got
right.
secretarial, custodial staff, cafeteria worker, school resource officer, security guards, the lady who works down at the crosswalk stopping traffic in
Bus,
order to allow your child across the street, the school bus drivers, the guy who works at the corner store right next door to the school that is bombarded with dozens and dozens of students every day before school and after school. The Burger King across the street where their workers get bombarded with these very same students. This is just not, when you talk about, think about, I'm going to give you the perfect example. You got to think of it like this. The biggest arm of any government system in any community outside of law enforcement is education. Whenever school is out, what do you notice? Traffic magically. Because there are so many agencies and things, branches that branch off of the education system. So saying something is asinine or making these type of statements is derelict of duties and dangerous.
is that better, Markel? We were having that conversation before we started. I have a new computer, and so I don't know. Is that? Let me know if that's better, Markel. I did something. I don't know what I just did, but tell me if that worked. Um, yeah, I mean that's a fact. El Teddy is again the UPS driver dropping off supplies. You know what I mean? It just, and you're right. Like the whole traffic pattern changes when school opens because why? So many people are connected to when school is open. Markel, let me know. I don't see you saying anything. Am I better, worse?
It's the
Thumbs
same.
up, thumbs down.
It's the same.
It's the same. All right. I don't know what's going on with the microphone, you guys. It's a new computer, so I'm gonna have to just play around with it later. Because I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. You said turn my microphone down, so I had to play around with it. Anyway, is it distracting? Like, is it so that you can't enjoy the show distracting, or is it just loud? Right, the daycare, before care, after care, like, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think all of this is a mute point because I think we're gonna end up shutting down again anyway. I think this whole thing is about to be shut down again. Why?
But the
Because
thing about it is, but the dangerous part about even if that's the case, we're going to be shut down again. At what cost? Because you may shut down, and in the process of you before the shutdowns, how many people have been infected, or how much risk, or how many people have been exposed during the process of you allowing people to go back before you had that shutdown? That's the
right.
dangerous part. That's the dereliction of duty part. But who am I? Who am I?
What are you saying? You probably would just need to plug up your earbuds from your phone to computer or get an external mic from Amazon. Okay. Well, I'll figure it out, you guys. I'm sorry if my volume is offending or bothering someone. I'll figure it out. All right. Because I don't know what the problem is. All right. So yeah. Now, one thing, somebody came to me last week. One of the questions last week. Sorry, Ebs. I sent you a text, double. One thing last week someone was asking me about were special education services for students who, or for kids who need like speech therapy, or on like face to face accommodations, or even kids who require accommodations that they can't get through a virtual program. So the short answer to that question is I would recommend that you notify the special education office in your individual school district because there is no universal answer to that question. Um, because there's no one because there's no universal answer to what school is going to look like for everybody. But if your child has an IEP which requires that they have certain services that they can't get through a virtual setting, then my suggestion, best answer I have for you is to contact your school's caseworker and or the school district special education office. It may be beyond, and the reason why I say both is because it may be the decision is not the caseworker doesn't make that decision, but the caseworker may have some information. But as far as you needing services and that kind of thing for your child, that is the best answer that I have. We got a couple of emails about that, and some people in the chat even asked about that. And this
Oh,
who is a special ed teacher just said they still haven't gotten word on the specifics of the special education program. So again, I've talked to a few of my friends that are special ed teachers, and they didn't have anything more than what they were doing last year with the virtual learning, which was they were still doing they were still modifying lesson plans and that kind of thing. And if they were in a co-teaching environment, then they were online co-teaching. But like I know, a co-teach there's no virtual. I shouldn't say there isn't one. They're going to have to create one, but you had to kind of figure it out as you went as far as a virtual learning um, model. So, and if your child
um,
needs therapy and stuff like that.
I would be curious to find out, and I wish Des would come on. Dear God. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. Love you, Des. But um, for those students whose accommodations cannot be met online, what is the plan for that? How does that work? Because I wonder if the school districts get exceptions for that because most states have declared state of emergencies with regard to this, and if that absolves school districts and individual schools and education professionals of having to meet said responsibilities. You have those students who are profoundly mentally handicapped, or some students who are have physical handicaps that their accommodations just can't be made um, virtually. And so I wonder because now we're missing out on instruction for an extended period of time.
Well, once upon a time in a former life, one of my many jobs in my education profession is that I was a advocate for special education students. I was that person that the schools hated to see come in the building. And I can only speak from the point of view of in my job capacity, and what you just said, El Teddy, is pretty accurate if without me actually getting that official yes. It's pretty accurate. We're in a state of emergency. Nothing looks the same. Schools aren't even open. So to feel like the schools are not in a position to offer the same level of services. And so I don't think they're going to be held to that standard. But they're going to have to figure it out. That's not something that there are going to be some things they're going to have to just figure out. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, right now, I don't think anybody will be able to have a due process hearing or anything like that because we're not even in school. You know what I mean? And because everything is under where we are. Des said we have to complete a prior written notice for each student outlining which accommodations and such were impossible due to COVID. Yeah, yeah, that sounds about, yeah. We're going to have to let parents know. Parents are going to have to sign off on it, and if there's a concern, then it would probably go further. But the reality is, at this point, there's probably no judge that's going to side with everybody, we're just in a weird situation. And I feel bad for the parents who have students who need those services that they can't get. Like, I absolutely feel for you, but I just don't know if there's an alternative. I don't know if there's an alternative. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, yeah. I'll reach out to my former supervisor. She doesn't work there anymore either, but she's a lawyer, so she may have a little more insight as far as the legal side of it. And I'll reach out to her. I'm gonna try to talk lower since I'm so loud. I'm gonna try to talk a little low.
You know what? But,
I mean, you know I'm loud anyway. Like I have a
you
loud
are,
voice anyway.
you have teacher voice.
Whoa, hold up now. I didn't need you to confirm that. I made a statement.
You have teacher voice.
You
Okay.
didn't need to confirm.
You are a teacher, and all teachers know what teacher voice is.
But mine out. But I have it all the time. Like
Exactly. That's the point.
yeah, and I don't even realize how loud I am until other people tell
Hmm.
me how loud I am because I'm just loud. Anyway, but you guys, we didn't want to come on here. We weren't going to have a whole long show. We wanted to just come in, give you this information, give you the updates as we saw them. Um, and hope that wherever you guys are at the end of the day, you have to make what the best decision for you and your family. But understanding where we are, if you are in a school district where the schools are going to open, even if it's a hybrid situation, you absolutely just have to do what you are comfortable with and what is safe for you and your family. For the parents, we will, like I said, Teddy and myself are being very conscious to try to get on here once a week so that we can share. Answer any questions. Again, continue to email us. I look forward to joining Kim on her show. Thank you for the invitation, and I look forward to that so we can continue to just speak on it. Again, that's the original mission of what it is that we're doing here. Definitely want to do that. So we have some serious, not serious. Why did I say serious? We have some topics coming up. If you guys have any suggestions or things you would like for us to speak on, again, feel free to email us. Let us know. I don't read email every single day, but I read it. I check it out. El Teddy, anything you want to say? Add, subtract?
Um, I will say this: we have been preaching this since the first ever school closing happened with COVID-19 way back in March, which is be vigilant about contacting your local school, your child's school district. If you want to go down the line, you check your state board of education, then you go to your individual school district website, and then you go to your individual school website, and then you call. You call, and it's not gonna be easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Depending on the size of your school district, you're gonna have to call day after day after day after day until you
Mm-hmm.
get somebody on the phone. And it's gonna be upsetting. You're gonna want to fight, get broke down, busted, and disgusted. But I think that your child's education is worth the time, effort, and energy that has to be put into it. So be vigilant about contacting your individual school districts and the individual school which your child attends. And I know if you can go back, you can document it. We said that way back in March when a lot of the school shutdowns first began. So that there's nothing that negates that information because it is going to be the most up to date.
Yeah, and you're right. March seemed like it was so long ago. It was like a lifetime ago at this point. Oh, it's so long ago. Anyway, um, oh, lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I could tell you're storming El Teddy. Your pixels are off.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, yeah. But it's all good. El Teddy, that's what we do. Rain, snow, sleet, or hell. We here. We are here. Um, but you guys, again, any information? I know we have some educators in the room. Rochelle, I know Crispy. She's not here today, but she's an educator. So we have some educators in the room. You guys, feel free to share with us, email us, and let us know if you want to come on the panel and chop it up with us. Give us, shoot us an email. Let us know. We're always welcome to brainstorm with other educators from other areas so that we can, everything doesn't look the same everywhere. But be vigilant in that. And thank you guys for coming through. Again, we didn't want to bring you guys a long show. We just wanted to come through with the updates and see if there was any other concerns. I will keep an eye on these lawsuits because those are going to be very interesting. to see how these lawsuits proceed in reference to. I knew that was going to happen. I think I said that last week that the unions were going to get involved if there were places that were insisting that schools open. I knew that the unions were going to get involved. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. Um, El Teddy, I'm giving you the last word.
Right. You always give me the last word and then come after me, Lord. Once again, thank you all for being here, and thank you all for your suggestions, your questions, and so forth, because that is why we're here. We understand that sometimes in the virtual world, it seems that you're so far away and so distant from what it is that you do from the profession that we have chosen. So certainly these types of platforms and things help us stay engaged and help us as educators stay involved in um, being forever learners, being perpetual learners and always educating ourselves so that we can provide, the services that we normally render to mankind. So I just wanted to say that, say thank you, and that's why definitely all of our fellow professional educators, we recommend and we admonish and we ask that you do come on with us and just say hey or give us any information, insight that you may have that may edify the masses, and those that come into the chat or watch this video. And that's all that I believe that I have. Still working on my voice. I got a big drink this time. Should have had this the last time because yeah.
You were completing your Google Analytics for beginner certificate. Oh, okay. All right, you guys, we out. Peace.